So people often get roles and opportunities confused, but they're completely different in the TeamKinetic system. They mean very different thing. So a role is essentially a set of hoops that the volunteer needs to go through before they can get on certain opportunities. So the example I was given was, if you said, well, we have lots of opportunities where volunteers need to go and visit the public. Maybe they're befriending the elderly, phoning them or popping around the house and making sure they're okay, having a cup of tea with them. Maybe it's delivering essentials to people in need. Maybe it's, but you have lots of different opportunities. But you say, well, before they do any of these opportunities, there's a certain set of hoops that the volunteer must have gone through, certain steps that the volunteer must have completed. Okay, and one of those might be, we need to make sure they've got a DBS. The next one might be, we need to have seen their ID, done an ID check. Next one might be, they need to have signed a waiver form. And then they also need to have watched a video. So you might have these certain hoops that they all need to do before they can do any one of these opportunities. So in that scenario, you create a role called visiting public, whatever you want to call it. And then you create those hoops. The first hoop would be, DBS. Next hoop would be sign the waiver form, then watch the video, blah, blah, blah. Now, once all of those hoops have been completed by the volunteer, okay, and some of those hoops, to be fair, I wasn't going to mention this, but some of those hoops can be completed by the admin as well. For example, you might say, one of the hoops might be volunteer upload your ID, and one of the hoops for the admin might be check the person's ID. So it can be hoops. It can be hoops for either the volunteer or the administrator. But once they've been through those hoops, the admin has the ability to approve or deny them on that role. And once they've approved them on that role, if they do approve them on that role, it means that the volunteer can join any of those opportunities then, which involve visiting the public. Okay, so it's like a prerequisite for getting on an opportunity. Yep. Any questions over that? There.
Yeah.
Okay. So the advantages of using a role are, well, they're stored against the volunteer. And what that means is it's not, you can create opportunities which require a role, but really the role, it doesn't really have any of the relationship to the opportunity than what I've just said. It's just an opportunity happens to require them to have completed this role first. That's it. But the role itself, the hoops and everything, it's all held against the volunteer in the same way their address and their name and their email address are, and their DBS, their criminal record check, that's held against the volunteer. The reason it's held against the volunteer is because it can be used for multiple opportunities offered by lots of different providers. So the role information, what hoops they've been through, and if it's been approved or denied, are held against the volunteer themselves. Okay. What I'm going to do here, so in theory, so that's what I was going to mention. So in theory, the volunteer, they could have completed 3 roles, but never ever joined an opportunity, because the roles are prerequisite to getting on opportunities, on certain opportunities. Now, if we have a look on here, we've got a role here.
Right, can I just ask a question? So about the roles on,
yeah, sure.
Because I'm looking on the site, and I wanted to know if you could capture all volunteers that have passed all these roles. So if there's a particular role that you're looking at, like maybe a DBS check.
Yep.
But you don't want to say DBS check, you just want to say, you call it a role, like as an option, say, okay, click role, I want to know if these have done these roles, or how many volunteers have done this role. Can you do that?
Yes, you can. If you go to the role, there's as an admin, you can go to roles and you can see a list of all the volunteers and all the roles that they've completed, basically. So yeah, there is a way of doing it.
Okay. Well, when you get a chance, can you just talk us through how to get it, please?
I'll be going through all of that. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, cool. All right. Sorry.
Sorry. So we've got a role here called driving the minibus. You imagine, you're an organisation. Create your own opportunities, all kind of created by providers, which all kind of work for your organisation. And you have a minibus outside, and you say, okay, then we have lots of opportunities where they're driving the minibus. Maybe they're taking volunteers to an opportunity. Maybe they're picking up, elderly people and taking them to, I don't know, whatever it is, different things that you might use a minibus for in our fictional organisation. So these are so you have a set of hoops. So these things are here, a set of hoops that need to be completed before the volunteer can do any opportunity which involves driving the minibus. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to create a role called driving minibus. And then we've got these set of hoops. Now, these hoops can be completed by either the volunteer or the administrator. So the first one, upload their driving license. Who's that going to be? Who's going to be doing that? A volunteer.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to upload the driving license. Check the driving license. Who's going to be doing that? Yeah. Watch the safety video. Who's going to be doing that?
Volunteer.
And the volunteer.
Upload signed waiver form. Who's going to be doing
I'm
that?
assuming it's us. Wouldn't it be us? Or
Upload the signed waiver form. So you can make the waiver form available to them. You can add it to the opportunity or loads of different ways.
Yeah,
So they could download it, and then,
Yeah,
but essentially what you need to know is not whether they've downloaded it. You need to know whether they've uploaded it. Yeah. Back onto their back against the opportunity or against the profiles. Lots of different places they can help. But you need to know whether they've uploaded it. Basically, it's been signed and uploaded. So upload waiver form, and then check waiver form has been signed. Who would do that?
admin.
Admin. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hoops. Okay, they're actually called role tasks. 5 role tasks which are involved before the admin can make a decision of whether to approve or deny them on that role. If they approve them, then that's it. The volunteer can get any opportunity in future which requires the driving minibus role to be completed, which is linked to the driving minibus role. They'll be able to get on them straight away. Won't ask them again to go through these hoops because it knows they must have already been through it and you've already approved them. Okay, so what's the process? So this is the process to actually do that. You got the admin sets up and creates the role, okay, with all the role tasks in, as we've just seen. This being another role. Next one, they set up the opportunity and link the opportunity to the role. And the volunteer goes, oh, I want to do that thing where I'm driving the minibus, picking up volunteers and taking them to an opportunity. I'll do that. But when they try to get onto it, it says you must complete this role first. So the volunteer and the admin, as we've just seen on the previous slide, it could be, there's tasks which are completed by both of them. They complete their role tasks. And then finally, the admin approves the volunteer on the role. And then finally, the volunteer joins the opportunity. So once the admin has approved them on the role, the volunteer will get an email, and then the volunteer joins the opportunity. And as I said before, a volunteer can now join any opportunity which requires that driving minibus role. Okay. Is there any questions over that? What just covered there? Oh, good. Okay, let's crack on and create a role then. So to create, someone just mute your mic because someone's got a bit of background talking in there. Just for the. So click on the add button here. Now, when you're creating a role, we put in the role name. So we're going to call this. This is the exact example that we just give there. Driving minibus. Say any opportunity which involves volunteer driving our minibus must have completed this role first. You can customize the email they get when they apply for the role. So basically what happens is they're going to get an opportunity and it will say, you can't join this yet. You need to there's a role that you need to complete it first. And then they'll click on apply for role and they'll get an email, okay, saying, okay, just to confirm, we realize you've applied for this role. Thank you, blah, blah. You can customize the email that they get if you wanted to by clicking on the checkbox there. But most people won't. The standard email, as you probably know with these things, is in the customize emails option. So there is a standard email that they'll get sent anyway. So we've got this role called driving the minibus. First stage 1. So what was the first thing we said needed to be done? Quick look. First thing we said was upload the driving license. Yeah, has to be done by the volunteer. So let's create that. Add task. capture, upload driving license. Requirement notes. Okay, please upload your driving license to your volunteer profile. Because there's ways when they go into the profile page, they can add documents, you know, qualifications and this, that, and the other. And one of those things is also, you know, a driving license, essentially. That's one place they could store it. So you make it clear when you're doing these, creating these tasks, make it clear to the volunteer what they have to do. I mean, I'd probably expand on this even more. I'd probably say, please upload your driving license on your volunteer profile by going to here, then here, you know, by clicking on profile and then going to, you know, I'd put as much detail as you think they'll need to kind of hold their hand to make sure they understand how to complete that task. Okay. Can the volunteer complete it? Yes, they can. Okay. Let me add. Now, I can go down to the next stage here and put in the next task if I wanted to. So the next task is, what's the next task, Joe? Oh, you got muted. I bet you it's muted.
Is obviously when the volunteers upload the driving license, and you as the administrator need to check all the details are correct. They might have, you know, points on it or something, and they've not told you.
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. Okay, so check the driving license.
Yeah.
So I could add in these different stages, but I don't want you to get confused about the stages. They don't really mean anything other than it's just a way for you to visually break down which tasks have something to do with each other. So I might say, well, this first stage is all going to be about the driving license. So rather than add check driving license into stage 2, I might just add it as a task into stage 1, because then they're uploading it and I'm checking it, and it's all, that's the first stage. Okay. Now these tasks can be completed in any order, so keep that in mind as well. Okay, don't have to be completed in a particular order, but obviously as an admin, I wouldn't complete my task until the volunteer uploaded the driving license. Okay. So this one's going to be called check driving license. Requirement notes, check driving license has less than 3 points and is valid. Something like that. Can the volunteer complete that one? What do you think, Lisa? Is she there? Is Lisa muted?
She needs to unmute.
How is she? Well, the volunteer, you know, yeah, the volunteer obviously can't complete that one. We can't allow the volunteer to check their own driving license. So we'll leave that unchecked.
Sorry, my fault. Okay. Sorry.
That's all right. No worries. So yeah, I was just saying that obviously the next task here, check the driver license, that's done by the admin, and the volunteer should not be able to complete that task. Okay, so the next one is done that one. Watch the safety video. Okay, now this is probably, I'd probably put this into stage 2. Like I say, I could, if I wanted to, put all of these tasks all into stage 1, but just for cleanliness and separating them into kind of a logical order for the volunteer to see, it makes sense that we pair them together, and then stage 2 will do watch the safety video. Watch the safety video. Please watch this safety video. And then you might have like your you know, your link to YouTube/safety. Yep, you'd have some kind of link in there. Like I say, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to be able to complete these tasks. So when they're looking at what they have to do next, if I could put the link right in there, then that's going to make it easier. Okay. Can the volunteer complete this task? Yes, they can. Okay, because we don't know whether they've watched the video or not, so we just have to leave it down to them to confirm if they have or they haven't.
No. Could you add that on, you know, to the task and say, can you confirm by X date you've watched the video or whatever? Or is that being a bit?
I don't know how you by a date would make it a bit complicated. A bit complicated. I mean, all you're doing essentially is you're telling them this is the video we'd like you to watch. You need to watch. Here's where the video is. YouTube. The link is. When you've done it, click on complete. Like all the other tasks, you can complete this task. So we know that you've said you've done it. But it's very hard with videos. There's some ways you can set up videos where you can track it and see whether people have watched it. But then it's like, have they watched 10 seconds or have they watched the whole video? You don't know. It's very hard to do that with videos. So stage 2, watch the safety video and the volunteer can complete it. We've done that one, safety video. Next one, upload signed waiver form. So this would probably make sense to go into the next stage, wouldn't it? Because there's nothing to do with these 2 stages above. Sign waiver form. Please download this waiver form and sign it, then upload to your profile, something like that. Okay. Yeah. And the waiver form might be this waiver form. You can probably put a link here, link to waiver form. You know what I mean? Yep. And you have the link in there, whatever the link is to the waiver form. Like I say, always making it as easy as you possibly can. Yeah. You may upload the waiver, something like that. What I'd probably do is I'd probably add it to your, your resources library that you've got in the system.
Yeah.
I'd probably add it to the resources library. Then you can just put the link directly to the resources library in here. So they click on it and then it opens up, opens up from the resources library. That's probably how I'd do it. Or you direct them to the resources library here, tell them, go to here, go to resources and then the help menu and you'll see it there. But make it as easy as possible, like I say. So sign a waiver form. Can the volunteer complete it? Yes, they can. Now the next one is, the final one is check the waiver form's been signed. Should we put that in the same stage or should we put it in a new stage, I think?
New stage. I'd say new stage.
Oh, new stage. What makes you think a new stage?
Sorry, did you say?
Would I, so if they've signed the waiver form, if the next one was check that the waiver form has been signed.
Oh, if we keep it all in the same. And
yeah, because it's related to it, isn't it? So it makes sense to keep them in the same one, yeah.
And then upload. Yeah.
But form has been signed. Okay. You'd say check the waiver form in their profile has been signed. Can the volunteer complete this task? No, they can't. That's something that we want only admins to be able to complete. Okay. And that's it. And we save it there. So that's we've created a role there. So all it was a role name, role description, then we put in the role tasks down here.
Would we not add in there to upload? Well,
we've asked them here to please download the waiver form and sign it, then upload it to your profile.
And that's when we get to check it. Once they've uploaded it, we can check it and sign it off.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So let's save that one there. Okay. So we've got the driving minibus. See it in here, an opportunity which involves blah, 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 blah. And if we click on the edit button here, next to that one we just created, okay, we've got these tasks down here. Stage 1, stage 2, safety, watch the safety video. Stage 3, sign a waiver form and then check the waiver form. Okay. So we can always edit it and change it if we need to. Okay. So we've created the role. Now we need to create an opportunity and attach that role to the opportunity and say, well, actually, so let's create the opportunity. So if we go down to create opportunity, okay, we've got the community champions in there. The opportunity is going to be called pick up volunteers in minibus to opportunity. Something like that. Okay, very vague, but I do for this training. Opportunity description, you put in the description here. I'm not going to go through all that. Next page. This is just setting up a basic opportunity. I'm happy with the image. Pick the location. That location's fine. Create a fully managed opportunity. It's important that you choose this one. If you want to attach an opportunity to a role, okay, then it needs to be a fully managed opportunity. A self-managed opportunity is, like I say, it's something you're not interested in managing any of that stuff within the system. It's you kind of take care of it yourself. You just want people to sign up to it. Okay, so this is going to be, it has to be a fully managed opportunity. Role required, driving minibus. Okay. Do you want to allow everyone to access this opportunity? Yes, I do. Our expenses, we don't have to worry about all that stuff. Promoting and sharing, don't have to worry about all that stuff. Upload a document for volunteers to download. You could attach, I suppose, no, you wouldn't actually. Probably leave that there. Allow volunteers to upload files to the opportunity. Now, I wouldn't, when I say, like, you know, things like the waiver form and their driving license that they've got, that the volunteers need to upload, I wouldn't get them to upload it to the opportunity. Okay, because remember, this is something they have to do before they can get on the opportunity. Okay, it's a prerequisite to getting on the opportunity. So they can't. So it's going to be very hard. They won't be able to upload it to the opportunity at this stage because they're not on the opportunity until they've completed the role tasks. So all of this, which is why I was saying all these things that they need to upload, get them to upload it to their profile is where you want to get them to upload it to. So they go to the qualifications and all that kind of stuff. They can upload documents there. So I'll show you how to do it in a minute. Okay. I'll just say it's a single individual session. It takes place on Thursday, and I just need 2 volunteers to do it. Starts at 9 o'clock. That'll do. Create the opportunity. So, and authorize it. Okay, so we've got an opportunity on there now, which requires a role. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off my admin hat, put on my volunteer hat, and we're going to see how hard it is for the volunteer to get onto that opportunity. Pick up volunteers in a minibus. Okay, we're going to search volunteers. Find a volunteer down here. That will do. This one here, maybe. Impersonate the volunteer. Okay, so I'm logged in as a volunteer now. Okay, it's the first page that they see is this page here. When they log in, this is the first page they see. Okay, they're going to search for an opportunity. Oh, I see it down here. Here we go. Pick up volunteers in minibus and take to the volunteer opportunity. That's what that says there if you can't read it. Okay, so they click on the details. And there's no way for them to join. There's no join button here because it says at the top, this opportunity belongs to a role that you are not yet qualified for. You must apply for the role before being able to join this opportunity. That's volunteer would naturally click on the apply button. Submitting your role application has been initiated. So this stage here, they're going to get an email. Remember that email that I said, telling them, thank you, you've signed up to a role. Please complete the tasks, blah, blah, blah. So they can review their role application by clicking on here if they want to. Okay, and that takes them through to roles. Oh, but whenever even if they log in at any point, they're always going to see roles down that side menu here. Okay, whenever they see roles, it takes them through to that page. But they can see that they have started going down. They've joined, I should say, applied for the driving minibus role. And there's 5 pending tasks. If they click on more details, they can see these tasks in each of the stages. So upload driving license. Please upload your driving license to your volunteer profile. Okay then, right then. Well, I'm going to go to my docs and qualifications. That's actually where they should upload it. This is where my instructions probably weren't the best. I would say within that role task, I would say upload it to your docs and qualifications. That's what I should have said. That would have made it easier for them to find. Okay. I can add something here. I could say it's like identification, kind of. Okay, and say driving license. Is it CE or SE on the end? The Americans, that they do CE and we do SE, driving license.
I thought it was CE.
I'm going for CE. I'm going for CE.
Lisa's laughing.
Okay, let's then I go into here and I could choose an image. Imagine this is a driving license image. Look at some wedding photos in there. Find an image which is not one of my wedding photos.
And I was going to say, I don't think that's one of your images. It's very nice.
It's a nice one, to be fair, but it's not something I've planned to. Yeah, maybe I've got it in down there. Or else might be pictures. Probably something in here. Let's pretend that this here. Pretend that is a drive. It says that's a receipt. Let's just pretend it's a driving license. It doesn't matter. Okay. Click on upload. Great. It's been uploaded. Okay. So now they go back to their roles. Upload driving license. The volunteer can then say, yes, I completed it. Okay. What's the next thing? Check driving license. Well, they can't complete that. This task can only be completed by the admin. That's what that says there. So what else would they do? Well, I've done that one. Well, I need to watch the safety video. Okay, I'm going to go to this link here and watch the video, obviously. So pretend now I'd open up a new tab and I'd go to the video, watch the video. At the end of it, I'd mark it as complete. If at any stage, if they change their mind, they can mark it as incomplete and then complete it again if they change their mind. Okay. Then sign a waiver form. Please download the waiver form and sign it, then upload it to your profile. Okay, and here's the link to the waiver form. Okay, so they'd say, okay, then, well, oh God, where's this waiver form? So that's where they'd go down to their resources and help, probably, and you'd have the waiver form in here. Okay, and they click on it, they download it, they would they'd sign it, and then they'd go back to their docs and qualifications, and they'd add the waiver form in here.
Question.
Yep.
So when they apply, once they press apply, does the waiver form actually get sent to them, or how do they get?
No, they get it for the waiver. So you'd probably, in that scenario with the waiver form, you'd probably upload it to the resource library, which I'll come on to at the end. I'll make a note of it now and I'll show you how to do that, because it sounds like something that's very useful. You'd add it to the resource library. You know what? I'll just show you now, then take seconds. So basically, I don't like jumping backwards and forwards between things, but I'll quickly show you now. So basically, you've got, yeah, I'm good. So you've got, when you go to super admin, you've got volunteer and provider resources, and you can add resources on here. And one of those things could be a resource for volunteers, and it could be a file. And you could say the file is a waiver form. Let's pretend this picture of a map of the castle map is actually a waiver form, just for, let's say this one here, actually, e-learning one, maybe pretend that's a waiver form. I'll upload that there. A waiver form. I could spell, I'd say waiver form. Form here. Okay, put in a bit of blurb about it and then add it. So that's been added to the resource library. You can add resources to either volunteers or providers, or both if you want to. So from the volunteer's perspective, when the volunteer goes down to resources down here, resources and help, I'll refresh the page. Okay, when they go down to resources and help, they see waiver form here and they can download it. So they'd download it, they would sign it, and then they would upload it to their docs and qualifications. So that's what you put in your task details. Please download it from here by going to your resources and help, and then upload it to your docs and qualifications. That's what you would say within the role task. Make it very clear to them what they need to do. Okay, so they go to docs and qualifications, and then they'd upload it. I've already uploaded one here. Okay, so next, once I've done that, they go, great, I've completed that task. So I can go back into my role and say, yes, I've signed the waiver form and I've uploaded it. This is what that says there, upload it to the profile. Check waiver form has been signed. Again, the volunteer can't do that. That's down to the admin to do that task. So let's take off our volunteer hat now. Okay, and put our admin hat on. And see it from the admins, because the volunteer still hasn't completed that role yet, because the admin hasn't completed their tasks that they're responsible for doing. So from the admin's perspective, the admin would go down to role applications. They would see that the volunteer has started a role. They've seen the completed 3 tasks. Click on the manage button, and then the admin can see they've got like a little log here of when they completed each of these tasks, and the admin can see, well, check driving license. Yeah, right, I'm going to start checking that now. I'm going to go into the volunteer's profile page. I'm going to check the driving license. And I could do that. I mean, I'll show you now just once. I go into the volunteer's profile here. I go down to their documents. I see their driving license here. I click on download. I look at the driving license. Yes, it's all valid. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And I can now go ahead and complete that task. So go back to the role applications, back to the manage button. Check driving license. I've started it and I've completed it because I know that I've checked it myself and it's okay, it's valid. Stage 2, there's nothing for me as an admin to do on stage 2. They've said they watched the safety video. I have to assume that they have done. Stage 3 said they've signed the waiver form, so it must be uploaded. So I need to check the waiver form in their profile and make sure it's been signed. So I'm going to start that one. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the volunteer's profile again. Go down to their documents, You can see the waiver form here. Download it, check it. Okay, I'm happy. That is fine. Okay, so then I go back to my roles again. Role applications again. Go back into the one for that volunteer, and I complete that task. Now, when I complete this, that's going to flash green. Okay, completed. Application has been approved and the volunteer notified. Okay, so by completing all of those tasks, okay, they've been approved because I was the last person to do the task. It's automatically approved them. Okay, so that's it. The volunteers, they would have received an email now telling them, congratulations, you've been approved on that particular role. So the volunteer can then go to the opportunities. Go to their opportunities. Here's their opportunities. That's not the right one. Pick up volunteers and take to the opportunity. Now they can go to the opportunity and they can join the opportunity. And you see now that whole message at the top about having to do a role first has disappeared because it knows that they've completed the role already. They can go ahead and join that opportunity. That's it. Join the opportunity. Okay. So let's quickly just look at that again, what we did. As an admin, we created the role, then we linked it to the opportunity. From the volunteer side, they went to get on the opportunity, but they're told they had to complete the role first. So both of us completed the tasks, and then the admin done the final approval, although it's kind of done automatically because I completed the final task. And then the volunteer went ahead and joined the opportunity. Is there any questions over that process? We've just been through there.
Yeah. Not from me. Seems easy enough.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if I go to try to get on if that volunteer tries to get on another opportunity which requires the same role, it's going to let them get onto it straight away. They won't see any messages or anything because we know that they've already done all of these things. Okay. So how do you know who's completed roles previously? Which was one of the questions from Lisa. If you go down to role applications, you'll see there's these three in the side menu. There's these three buttons. So I can see successful applications, and now that volunteer is now a successful applicant on that role, and there's no denied applications there. Okay. Now, things to keep in mind is obviously with roles, because it's the admin who is completing who's approving them on that particular role, then it's hard for me to imagine a scenario where you've got an external provider who, it wouldn't work if you've got external providers wants to use a role, because the role is approved by the admin. So imagine you had for you, Joe, if you had Boy Scouts down the road, and they said that they needed to go through these particular hoops. Well, it's not going to work for them because the person who creates those hoops is you, Joe, the admin, and the person who approves the volunteer and says that they've been through those hoops is you. And the reason it's you and not the provider is because the role can be used for any opportunity offered by any provider. So you can't leave that responsibility down to the provider to say whether they've done it or not. It has to be done by the admins.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask one question here? So
sure.
The successful and denied applicants. So if you deny an application, there is a space for us to say why that is, so that
you'd probably, in all honesty, I've never seen role applications denied. What I tend to see is people who they see that a volunteer, maybe they haven't uploaded a particular thing. Maybe the volunteer said, I've uploaded my waiver form, and then you go in there and see it's not there. Then you would usually drop an email to that volunteer or phone them up and say, I know you said you completed this, but you haven't actually completed this.
I'm just thinking, when we check their driving license and they've got points, and really we want clean license. So if they had points, they hadn't obviously told us that. We check in and we see that.
I would probably be dropping them an email to tell them. That's the kind of thing. It's like a personal thing where you're better off picking up the phone or emailing them and explaining the reason. I mean, from the volunteer's perspective, I think although you can deny them and they do get an email saying they've been denied, and you can change the wording of that email. The email wouldn't specifically say why they've been denied. It would just say you've been denied on this application of driving the minibus. So you'd be better off explaining exactly why. Personally,
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
Yeah,
separately, yeah, definitely separately. But I'm just thinking, obviously, he has those points on that license. She has those points on that license. So they will be denied.
Yeah.
It will show that they're denied, and then obviously, separately, you would send them that personal email and saying, unfortunately, you got points on your license, and we want a clean license.
Yeah, please try again in a couple of years, maybe, or something like that. Yeah, when they've been cleaned off. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Okay. So, in summary, what we've been through today, roles are not the same as opportunities, and the reason I say that is because some organisations call opportunities roles. It's just what they've see quite frequently. But in terms of TeamKinetic, roles are very different to opportunities. Okay, roles are a set of hoops the volunteer needs to have completed before they can get on certain opportunities. Okay, and yes, and that's it. So is there any questions over anything I've covered there?
No.
Okay, there is a help manual I'm going to email out to everybody. So when you get it, it looks like this here, and it goes through everything that I've been through with scenarios and this, that, and the other.